Welcome to Gulf Coast October. In this video, I'm redoing an old painting I did when I was a kid, and I'm going to be reviewing these canvases from Walmart and these paintbrushes. Yeah, so hang out. Well, welcome back. And these are the canvases and the paintbrushes. The paintbrushes are by Hello Hobby, and they look so similar to these other ones I've had for a long time from Hobby Lobby. They're the clear red, very, very similar. They are synthetic, but I love them. And this was that pack of 5 by Artist Canvas Value Pack of 5, 16 by 20. It was $13.97, and every other canvas in there was also wrapped again. It was kind of weird. So I am doing a painting over. I had originally done it in 1997. That was a million years ago. And I thought, well, if I were to paint that today, what would it look like? I am using some paints from Pop Shelf, but I also got some folk art neon black light paints. I want some hyper colors. And when I was trying to color match the background, I ended up just going straight up folk art neon black light. This color is called, it's green vert. Another one is rose pink. You might see that one later. My chief complaint right now has nothing to do with the canvas or the paintbrushes. It's that these types of paints, these neon colors, go onto the canvas like poster paint. Consistency is no fun. So I added white paint to thicken it up, to give it some more structure, and also it makes it blend on the canvas better. That's a tip if you have some fussy paint like yellows, oranges, add a little white or whatever color you want to add to it to, you know, work your magic. It will make it come across more creamier, and then also adding water or, you know, sometimes not adding water. So when I do redos, I want to do some stuff consistent with how I did it back in the day, and then I want to do some things like upgraded version of today. And I didn't have a lathe. I know I used a lathe in the original painting. This time I'm using my Sam's Club card and I get the blue paint. The point of it was to have it scraped onto the canvas, and I just dropped it right there in my water to wash it off. The other thing is staying true to how I did back in the day. I didn't prep my canvas at all. So now that we know that, how do these canvases hold up to just going straight on with the paint? I'm not prepping it. I'm not putting any gesso on there or any other types of things to moisturize the canvas. How bad did this canvas need it? It didn't. I have been using super cheap canvases from Target and Pop Shelf. I gotta say, I'm going to buy these again for almost 14 bucks plus tax, United States money. This was a fantastic deal. You know, granted, these Pop Shelf paints I've been using are very creamy, and I like a paint that will let me dip the brush into the paint and then into the water jar, and then when I hit the canvas, you know, it's like I'm running. I hit the canvas running. It's like it becomes a pen or a marker. You know, when you have the ease and glide of a marker, and it just goes and goes and goes. If you have the right combo of a good brush and good paint and good technique, that's how your paintbrushes can do. You don't have to constantly redip. But different paints, not only that, but different painters, those of us that are the artist behind the paintbrush, putting the stuff on the canvas, we all have different techniques of things that we like. So that's what's important, is to get to know your brushes. Who is that? Do we have the rats in the background? Yeah, the rats are back there. Just for a little while though. I love these paintbrushes. I don't know if this was the red one or the purple one. I kept looking for excuses to use that purple one. It was I don't think it's in the other packs that I used to get from Hobby Lobby. They're similar. The handles on them are triangles. Oh, hey, this is Chopsley. Yes, I love my rats. Yes, the rats. Look, they're like hamsters or kitty cats or puppy dogs. And yeah, this is Frankie.
I love you. Kisses. Okay, bye-bye.
You want to sit on my shoulder? Okay, you gotta go. I gotta do things. I love my boys. Let's see, what was I talking about? I like the paintbrushes, and I give them 5 stars out of 5 stars. I give them all of the stars. Because even though they're cheap, they are synthetic. They are not cheap, as in poor quality. I seem to like these types of brushes no matter where I get them from. I'm hoping there isn't another type of knockoff of these cheap types of clear, brightly colored brushes that are actually really bad quality. I personally love them. So now I'm doing the eyes. The thing about acrylic paints is you need to have the patience to do layer and layer and layer. Look how different Shorty looks. It's supposed to be me. I'm trying to relearn how to draw faces. I tend to draw faces in a way that they don't end up looking anything like what I mean for them to. And so that was another thing I was kind of challenging myself. Can I draw a face, basically? Layers and layers and layers I go, and when it's finally over, nobody knows. I had some of this purple left over from the shirt, and I wanted to highlight aspects of her face. The shirt is still purple, staying true to the original painting, and I could only highlight it with pink to stay true. But some of these other things, I've been trying to learn how to shade and highlight facial features. Oh, the couch, yeah. I was having a hard time getting this yellow right. Again, I had to add a lot of white. Later, when I add pineapples, I had to add white, yellow, and orange so that it wouldn't wash out with the rest of this. But, I remember when I originally painted this, the mood I was in, I lived in Florida. I was using my art to escape and to process my life. And I still do that to this day. So it's a tool in my tool bag that I still use. It's letting my creativity get out of my system and portray on the canvas. And I was so grateful that this canvas was really nice. These paintbrushes were nice. I've got some of these pop shelf paints that I love. And I'm learning techniques like adding water when I need to. And also not sweating the small stuff. So it doesn't come out looking like what I have in my head. That's all the more reason to not have something in my head. So I started to add some pink. That pink again, I tried to add it straight out of the bottle. It was not a good consistency. But once I added some red and white, I ended up putting it all over the place. So I'm going to start mixing my paints in containers. And here I was trying to do palm leaves, but I don't know what they look like. I like to have a good mix of organic lines, but also, man-made lines. It balances my paintings out. So I'm going to do show and tell in just a second of this alligator snow globe. If you ever got to listen to my book, I have a book I wrote called Enchanted by St. Yo-Yo, and I read a chapter at a time, and there's a whole playlist. I'll leave the link in the description. But this is the alligator. This is St. Charlie Chubby. It's a female alligator because that's her belly and that's her babies, and she's going to have babies. It was $3.99 when I was a kid, and my original ones I had Florida and Louisiana. But yeah, it was inspired by her. I always knew when I was little that was a mama alligator, and I loved her so much. So the technique that I'm using right now, and I kind of showed it, but I was talking, is I take the paintbrush and I dip it in paint, and then I take the whole paintbrush with the paint on the bristle, and I put it in the water. The result is smooth and consistent, and I don't have to keep re-dipping into my paint. One of my tricks that I use with eyes and lips and everything is to remember that there's the colors around us reflecting off of any part of us at any moment. I feel like colors are just colors reflecting off of each other all the time. Like, so what is the first color ever? It's just like, maybe it's just light and then the absence of light, I guess, bouncing off of everything. Of course, I'm doing my vines. I love my vines. I cannot figure out, do I want to do flowers? I had to incorporate the pineapples. So I just decided to do pineapples, and I left it with just the 3 pineapples. I didn't add any other flowers. Again, trying to keep it simple. But I will say this weird green band thing back here, I have no idea what it was. I just went with it. So there's vines and some random pineapples, because the original painting is called Thinking of Pineapples, even though there was no actual pineapples. It just had to do with what was ever going on in my mind back then. And I was using my art to deal with it. And to this day, I use my art and my music to get through things and deal with things. Now, with my music, it tends to be aggressive, and it's me getting my resentments out, my frustration, so I can move on. I mean, my music tends to be dark, but my art is different. This is actually me getting through things and processing things. Music tends to be venting. Art tends to be growing. Yeah. of course, I like to take my marker and I highlight all these things the best that I can. Sometimes it makes it look a little bit kind of cheap and tacky. Sometimes I do paint instead of markers. But at the end of the day, I still love this where I can just go to the marker and then my hands aren't hurting. Yeah, I do have like a tendon issue. It's a Ehlers-Danlos connective tissue disorder. So even sometimes painting hurts after a while. And I drop my brushes. I drop my pens. But the marker, the actual pen, is just really a nice break. So if I'm doing things with art that I don't enjoy, it becomes a chore. But if I'm allowed to use these little, cheats and hacks and whatever, it becomes more fun, and then I can focus more on whatever the other stuff going on is. So for me, it's just me kind of revisiting my childhood and my high school years, even my young adulthood years, and thinking, I want to play. I want to do what I used to do, but what would that look like now? What would it look like today? you know, I'm wondering what other things we can do this with. Food, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, but that's it. That's the end of my video. Hope I didn't talk too much. That's the original Thinking of Pineapples from 1997, just acrylic on canvas. And then this is today. Again, just acrylic on canvas for the most part. And I give the canvas a 3, I'm going to give it a 3.7 out of 5 stars because it's a great canvas. It's still not top. I don't want to give it 5 stars because it's not a 5-star canvas, but I don't want to give it a 3 or a 4 or 3.5. So it's a 3.7. And then the paintbrushes I give a 5. Be blessed. Be a blessing. Blessed be, and all that jazz. Bye.
Lost on the streets, I'm all alone, alone. Feel risky, don't want to go home.